Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We do have Christine Ebersole, who just got back from Los Angeles. She's now in New York with us. She is the two-time Tony Award-winning actress and singer. She's been TV shows, movies, #1 plays on, there in New York City. And we are just extremely honored to have her. Christina Ebersole, thank you for coming on with us.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Before we go anywhere, I just want to point out that you were one of the first. After Charlie Sheen went public, he is the first, the trailblazer, from Hollywood, to go public. And then you were pretty much the second person who had so much to lose and were demonized in the National Enquirer and Page 6, New York Post, and TV and radio. And you were a stalwart, and you marched with us about a year after that, last year in New York. And Christina, we really owe you a debt of gratitude, Christine, because it is just so amazing what you've done. And I know you don't want kudos, but just that spirit of liberty and truth that you showed is just another example of stopping these people.
Well, I think it's really just sort of a matter of not being afraid of who you are. That's really kind of what I think about it. I sort of see it as a spiritual journey. It's really about standing for the truth, and standing for the truth is standing for who we are, because that's how we were created, and the universe was created in the same way. So that's why if somebody tells you that 2 + 2 is 5, you know that they're not telling the truth, because you know that 2 + 2 is 4, because those are the laws of the universe. So that's kind of the way I like to see it. I wrote this political blog based on something that I had, an experience that I had about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and I sort of liken the situation that we're all in to the Wizard of Oz.
And so people can read along. It's I just got it this morning, just now reading it. It's excellent. So people know where to go read it. We've got a link up on Infowars.com, but so people know where to read it. Give out your actual blog address.
Well, it's on my website, ChristineEbersole.com, which is just one word, and that's ChristineEbersole. A lot of E's in there. And through that website, you can find my blog, and it's called Dining with the Oligarchy. But in that blog, I talk about the Wizard of Oz, because I think that's the perfect metaphor. While Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion are standing before the great and powerful Oz, shaking in their boots, here's the little dog Toto, who just parts the curtain, and just parts the curtain on the truth. Toto's not afraid to part the curtain on the truth. He's not trembling in his boots thinking, oh, my God, what's going to happen if I part the curtain? He just goes, oh, what's behind there? And I think that's what we have lost in this culture that's so inundated with propaganda and this very, very subliminal message of relinquishing control. Because when we know who we are as spiritual warriors created in God's image, when we know who we are and we're not afraid of who we are, just like animals are naturally. Animals know who they are just naturally. I mean, they don't even think about it. That we can stand for the truth and not be afraid. So that when somebody says, like I said, oh, 2 + 2 is 5, you go, well, no, it's not. It's 4. Because I know that, because I'm familiar with the laws of the universe. It's that kind of thing. So in this particular case, in this blog that I wrote, Dining with the Oligarchy, I ended up at this luncheon where I was seated next to Bill Donaldson, who was the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission and was on the committee to reelect George Bush, and was, I found out later through Googling him, was, Skull and Bones, and a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. But at the time, I had met him at this party from last summer, so I kind of I didn't really, I knew his face was familiar, but I didn't connect all the dots. And then when he told me about leaving Washington, I said, oh, that's right, you were chairman of the SEC, So we started having this conversation. But what prompted it was he told me that he had been down to hear Barack Obama speak. And he said that he really appreciated his economic policies. And I said, well, what did he say? That he was going to get rid of the Federal Reserve and the IRS And he looked at me kind of strangely, like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I said that's not even ratified. I said the 16th Amendment isn't even ratified. The federal tax was unconstitutional. Then when I realized who it was, I just patted him on the shoulder. I said, but you know that.
This is amazing breaking news, Christine.
But it was, let me just tell you something. This is the thing, is, but I also like to see it as, when Martin Luther King, and I think I probably mentioned this to you before, Alex, when Martin Luther King would talk about his, the white supremacists, he called them his brothers. He said, they're my sick brothers, but they're my brothers. See, because it's really the brotherhood of man. We know that we are all, when we start thinking other, that's exactly what the New World Order power elites want us to think.
That's what I was saying last hour, that even if the police think that it's them against us and then us against them, they're with the commoners whether they like it or not.
Yeah. And just to interject that's another thing, is that, whenever I hear whenever I'm in the train station and I hear, if you see something suspicious, any suspicious activity, which just drives me nuts, because I've called these phone numbers before when I'm on the train and I'm just so sick and tired of hearing this psyop, fear propaganda. I've literally called those phone numbers. And when I called the New Jersey Transit terrorist hotline, I got a message machine. I got an answering machine.
No, exactly.
I'm not kidding
They
you.
never answer. It's only to create fear, to make you think about terrorists creeping around, so you then think of them as the savior.
Yeah, so exactly. That's giving your power away. So when I called the message machine, it literally said this, Alex. It said, if you have any suspicious activity, press 1. For ticketing, press 2. I'm not kidding you. So I press 1, and I leave a message. And I say to these guys, I say, hey, listen, you have any handbooks or anything? Because, I don't know, what am I supposed to look for? What is a terrorist? What am I supposed to be looking for? So I was just wondering if maybe that'd be something I could put out to you guys. You might want to have, a handbook or something on who to look for terrorists. I mean, and then I said, have a nice day. And I went, oh, no, I mean have a safe day. Because, no one says have a nice day anymore. They all say have a safe day. But anyway, getting back to Bill Donaldson, this guy is a nice guy. He's not a bad guy. He's a nice guy.
Skull and bones. Sure, he worshipped Satan and did sexual rituals in coffins, but...
Okay, but here's the thing. I don't know to what degree. I really don't know any of that. I don't know anything about...
But he comes off as a nice guy.
Right, he does. But here's the thing, is so many of those, if you think about any kind of evil system, whether it's, apartheid, whether it's segregation, whether it's the Nazi Party, these people are subjected to the order of these few people that are so corrupt and evil.
Christine Ebersole, stay there. Christine, stay there. I want to hear about the rest of your conversation with the overlord in a moment.
I can see the day coming when even your whole darkness gonna be against the law.
Christine, I think I know where you're going. Our own greedy decisions, the things we do in our lives that we don't see the repercussions of, add to this monster. And then even a lot of the servants in the system have some humanity left and probably don't like what's happening, but they're part of a system of fear. And I think that is the case. But when you're talking about Securities and Exchange Commission former chairman, Skull and Bones, remember when Bush appointed him, you're talking about a very powerful person. This is big news. Please continue.
I think that's another thing, is that you have to understand that, when you're talking about emotional intelligence, that doesn't know any social order. You can be like the scullery maid and have a very high level of emotional intelligence, and you can be the chairman of the blah, 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 and not have that high level of emotional intelligence, where there's a cognitive disconnect. And that's where I think 9/11 comes into play, right there. Because people, I think it has a level of emotional, you have to have a certain level of emotional intelligence in order to connect to the events. In other words, what happens is, to most people, they have a cognitive disconnect. They cannot believe, because they've co-opted their own power for security and safety, and they've reduced themselves to the mind of a child. That's what sheep do. It's reduce yourself to the mind of a child, so then you don't take any power or responsibility for your own personal and individual freedom. So I think what was happening with Bill Donaldson, who was a very, very nice person, but what happens is it's the brainwashed that are brainwashing. It's there. Even people at the highest perceived highest levels are just doing what they're told.
Well, they're also good. They're also good actors. But somebody at that level position is on the inside track. I'll just tell you because I know how the powers.
I understand that. But
well, I mean, tell us the rest of the story. What happened?
Well, what was interesting. What happened was, I said to him, like how he was like basically he literally said, "Your thoughts are mind-boggling." Because I don't believe that he thought that he'd be sitting next to an actor at a luncheon, talking about these things at such great length.